TinkerCAD tips. This tutorial is going to be about embedded objects, and it will probably run long, and I'll have to go into a part 2 on this. But what we're going to talk about here is sometimes we want to create printed objects where we print them separately and then put one into the other. Now, I want to explain this Batman logo here. I found by simply going to Google here, I found this image, right-clicked on it, and right here I did a save image as and got a JPEG. And then I went over here to convertio.co, that's .co, not .com, and I converted it from a JPEG to an SVG, and then I downloaded that. So what you'll see here in my folders, I have the original JPEG, and I clipped out this text and then converted that to an SVG. So that's where we're sourcing this logo from. Now, what I want to show you here is that everybody's first thought is that, oh, well, you can just simply take the logo, turn it into a hole, and make it bigger. Well, that doesn't work, and let me show you why. Let's get a copy of this background here. Let's move that out over here. Now here is my original SVG here, and you'll see that it has all the parameters of an SVG. So let's make a duplicate of that. We'll bring it over here. We'll turn it into a whole object. Zoom in here. Let's bring it up just 1 millimeter. All right, now what I'm going to do is hold the Shift key. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to change this measurement to 126 millimeters, giving us like a 0.5 millimeter tolerance all the way around. So if I change that to 126, we'll take the two of those, we'll align them. There we go. Let's group those together. Now let's go back to our original SVG here. Let's make another duplicate of that. Bring it over. Do a quick alignment. This direction. This direction. Well, if we zoom in here, you'll see we have like about a 0.5 millimeter gap, a tolerance here. But over on this side of it, boy, that's not working. So thinking that you can just turn it into a hole and make it bigger doesn't actually work. What we want to end up with is something like this one here. So here's our SVG. Let's go ahead and hide that. Here we have our cutout background. And if I unhide that, and I've centered these two parts, now when we zoom in, you can see I have a tolerance on the outside, I have a tolerance on the inside, and on the Bat logo, I have another tolerance outside. Now, the way to do this, we're going to have to do in several steps here, because when we look at this logo, we have to think about several things. We have this outside circle, so we need a tolerance on the outside. We need a tolerance on the inside of it, and then we have the center part of the logo, and we need a tolerance outside of that. And we're going to be doing this in 3 separate steps. So let's take all of this, move this out of the way. Let's quickly make just a copy of our original SVG here, duplicate. We'll bring that over here. And we're going to get our background here. Let's get a copy of that, drag that out. We'll use that in a moment. All right, so the first thing we have to do here is we're going to have to stack elements together to make our whole object to embed into the background. So we're going to start by using the logo itself. That'll be the first part. So we're going to make a duplicate of that. Drag that up and over here. Now we want to create a whole object that is the wall of this. Let's come back to this SVG here. Let's make this, we'll say that that is 5 millimeters tall. We'll come back to this here. Let's change this. Got our quality maxed out. Let's change the height to be 8 millimeters. And for the fill mode, let's make this an outer line with a line width of 0.5. On corners here, let's make it round. Okay, so that will be our outside tolerance for outside the oval up here. All right, let's take and for now we'll move that up and over here. Let's drop that down to the work plane. Let's drop that down to the work plane. We'll come back to our oval here. We'll make the height of that 5. Okay, now the next part is we're going to want to make another line like this that will be the inside tolerance of this part. And for that, what we actually need is a negative of this. So I'm going to take yet another duplicate of this. I'm going to call that a silhouette. And then this inside part, I'm sure I got the right part here. This inside part, let's turn that into a whole object. Let's increase the height a little bit here. All right, let's select the two of those. Do an alignment. There we go. Group those two together. All right, there we have our next part, but this is no longer an SVG. I can't do an outline on this. So I'm going to have to export this as an SVG. And we'll call it Embedded Batman Logo 1. Let's make sure I put it in the proper folder here. We'll save that. We can now delete this part. Let's re-import that next SVG. Import. All right, there's the imported version of that. Let's go ahead and make it yellow. Let's change the height of this to be 8. We'll increase the quality. And on the fill mode here, bear in mind, what we're trying to do is to make a tolerance for that outside oval. So on this one, we want to actually turn this into an inner line. We'll make it round, and we'll make the line width 0.5 again. Drop that down to the work plane. Let's bring that up here with this one. Okay, we'll get another copy of this. We'll bring that over here. All right, now the next part that we want to do is going to be the inner bat. And for that, we're going to have to do some clipping. So let's make yet another copy of this. Drop that down to the work plane. Let's bring out a whole circle here. Now for this part, I'm going to cover up that inside bat logo part. Stretch out this side. All right, we want to make sure that inner logo is completely covered. Bring that down a bit. Now we're going to bring out a square. And we're going to have to continue this in the next one. So we'll see you on the next one where I continue doing this embedded object and building these tolerances.